Welcome, Bulldogs. This is Unit 4, Part 2 of the COVID exam review from 1789, the Constitution, till 1824 in the Corrupt Bargain. And here we're going to look at the Martial Court. Martial Court, we want to look at the first two big cases. Number one, that's going to be Marbury versus Madison. Who is going to have the power to decide whether a law is constitutional? Basically giving a check and balance over Congress, declaring their laws unconstitutional, giving them more power than Congress almost. At first, you'll have Jefferson and Madison stating the states should be able to do so in the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions. But now you got this precedent set, Marbury versus Madison, where Judge Marshall will say Congress has no right to make a law, thus establishing the precedence of judicial review. So go ahead and read on the details of the court case. And here's how it happened. But more importantly, remember, judicial review is the power gained from the Martial Court in Marbury versus Madison. Now, you're going to have to differentiate. Now we got McCulloch from the Clan McCulloch suing Maryland. McCulloch versus Maryland. Take a look at the cartoon. You have a state about to tax a federal bank. Can they do that? Well, of course not. Not according to Marshall, who always says federal over state.
McCulloch versus Maryland may appear to be an old esoteric case about bank charters and taxes, but it's really about a power struggle of constitutional proportions between the states and the federal government. The consequences of that struggle continue to reverberate today. In 1816, Congress passed an act that created the Bank of the United States. A year later, the bank opened a branch in Maryland. To take a shot at the new, all-powerful federal government, Maryland passed an act in 1818 that imposed a $15,000 annual tax on all out-of-state banks operating in the state. The act appeared neutral on the surface, but it practically targeted the Bank of the United States, which was the only out-of-state bank in Maryland at the time. James McCulloch, the cashier of the Bank of the United States, refused to succumb to Maryland's pressures and refused to pay the tax. In response, Maryland sued McCulloch in Baltimore County Court. The trial court sided with Maryland and ordered McCulloch to pay the tax. The Court of Appeals affirmed, and McCulloch petitioned for review in the United States Supreme Court.
And we know how he ruled in the Supreme Court. Federal over state, overruling those smaller courts. All right, so four-part legacy. Judicial review, Marbury versus Madison. Federal over state, McCulloch from the Clan McCulloch versus Maryland. Implied powers of the elastic clause, necessary and proper clause. He was a loose constructionalist just like Hamilton. And the sanctity of contracts, like in the Dartmouth versus Woodward decision. All right, let's take a look at the cotton gin. An invention. Why are we looking at one little invention by Eli Whitney? Matter of fact, it only took him 2 weeks to come up with the idea. He saw him picking cotton and try to pull those seeds out of the cotton balls. It was taking forever. Like, that's crazy. There's an easier way to do it. I wish he didn't go down south and visit that cotton plantation, because slavery was on its way out. It was costing too much money. Then comes the cotton gin. When a slave could produce and de-seed 1 bushel of cotton, now he could pick and de-seed 50 bushels of cotton. And take a look at the relationship. Eli Whitney, cotton gin and interchangeable parts. Take a look at the relationship here. As cotton production goes up, slavery goes up, all because of the cotton gin. Bummer. Eli, what did you do? All right, now what's a protective tariff? Who is a protective tariff protecting? Now, you know the tariff raises the price of foreign goods. Let's just say of that nice BMW from Germany. Now, wait a second. Us Americans, we want you to buy an American car. So we want you to buy a Corvette instead of that BMW. What we do is we slap a $5,000 tariff on the BMW. All of a sudden, it costs a lot more, and you're more inclined to buy the Vet. So take a look at this graphic. Notice how the protective tariff benefits manufacturers up north and hurts the farmers in the west and south. Another reason for sectionalism and the Civil War. And that's the end of Unit 4, Part 2.